Hi there. Welcome back to Tarot by Janine and Deep
Dive
Dive
Fridays!
We're going to talk about the origins of mankind. Yeah, because everything in history is a lie.
Right?
As far as we've been discovering that it's all either backwards, sideways, or just totally
Made up.
Yeah, they made it up.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. Like there's the stories of, first of all, there was, of course, Adam and Eve's story.
Yep.
Okay. And, actually that's starting to sound slightly more like what could have happened, because the other version of supposed origins of man would be like what, evolution.
From apes.
From apes. And really, when you start looking at that really closely, there's a lot of gaps and holes there.
There's a lot of gaps.
You know, that missing link they've been talking about is likely because there is no link. Right. You don't link those two together, right?
There's no linking.
It would have taken thousands and thousands of years, you know, go from a hairy ape-like creature,
Yep.
like thousands of years, to modify into these bald, almost no hair creatures that we are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some people
Different-
have more hair than others, but
With different digestive tracts. And
different
teeth,
digestive
different
tracts.
skin consistencies.
It makes no sense. Humanity evolved from apes, really, when you think about it, right? And so all of a sudden that got really popular.
Mhm.
And they took everybody away from, or it took everybody's attention away from the Adam and Eve story. And I'm not saying the Adam and Eve story is true either, but it might have more truth to it, let's just say.
Right?
Because there's sort of magic, alchemy, and mystery and spirituality, at least in that story.
All in the mix.
Right? Whereas the evolution doesn't include any of that. And it just, things are so weird. Like, did we actually get seeded here from off-worlder, various different off-worlder species? Like, did they leave some of their beings here? And then, there's a lot of evidence to off-worlders being here for thousands of years, in drawings on caves, even here in Alberta.
Yep.
There's drawings on caves, or it's just into BC, is it? Maybe in the Kootenays.
No, I've been on hikes here in Alberta, and I've seen them myself.
Wow. So they literally have what looks like space aliens.
Oh, for sure.
Etched onto cave drawings. You know, things are very different than we've been told.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to take this time, this deep dive on the origins of man. What are some of the questions we can ask, Ashley? What do you think? What do you got?
Well, you and I both read this article. And
by a certain Uncle Cliff.
Yeah, which was great. Interesting. I liked it.
It was fascinating.
And I kind of want to know, like, are we bioengineered from...
Whoa.
Like off-worlders? Were we just like an experiment? Was this a happy experiment? Was this a oops experiment?
Wow.
Right? Like,
could we have been an oops?
Or should we even see if we evolved from apes? If Adam and Eve is more likely?
Let's start with, did humans evolve from apes?
Okay. Let's do this.
So is that theory right? We'll just start there. Wow.
Whoa.
So right off the bat, it looks like it's completely a no on did we evolve from apes.
Yeah.
We got two major arcanas. The Fool go in this direction. So that was a diversion. That story was handed to us as a convenient diversion at the time when maybe people were questioning.
Right. And so-called modern science came in with this theory. Yeah.
And it would have taken so long. And what actually happened was much quicker.
Yeah.
So how humanity came to Earth, it actually feels like they might have traveled here.
Originated from a different culture.
Or travelers somehow had something to do with it. Who came from elsewhere. Okay, and now here we've got that King of Cups. Now he's quite manipulating. So it's been a really, really guarded secret.
Right.
An incredibly guarded secret. Really the true origins of humanity.
Fascinating.
And this feels like maybe there was 10 different groups originally. Or some groups originally that were manipulated into 10 different sort of groups of mankind.
Fascinating.
Or a number of, but I got the number 10 in my head. I feel like there might have been, we might have been manipulated from 10 different other species,
Ooh.
which would make sense to why we're quite sought after in the galaxy, apparently.
This is true.
There's a whole lot of ancient history. So apparently some off-world or sort of intel has recently, at least I've recently heard, that they really seek out Earth and Earthlings because we have so much other bloodlines.
Right?
And this looks like there's multiple bloodlines that have been manipulated into what we now call, the human species.
Look at that. Fascinating. Nice little melting pot of genetics that Earth is.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. Okay.
So let's now ask, were we created like in a lab by these off-worlders?
Yeah.
Or did they bring us from did we come from other galaxies and then just find a way to live here?
Okay.
Like, did we just get relocated, or were we actually created here? Yeah.
Let's do it.
Wow. That would put a real different slant on what we call God, or
right?
Like
the creator.
Source, exactly. That would put a real different slant on it.
Interesting.
Let's have a look.
Okay. On Earth.
So some species might have originated here or been made here. I think it's a mixture.
Yeah, right.
But it was hard because at some point in history, it feels like there was a real dominating force that might have been really hard on the humans that were here.
But it doesn't really feel like it was genetically engineered.
So they had to bring more.
Different genetics.
Yeah, they brought more, like infants, or they brought... Let's keep looking. I think if it was genetics where we were created in a lab type thing, we'd see the magician.
Oh, for sure.
And more interesting manipulating cards.
But it doesn't really feel like that.
Okay, so we've got the Hanged Man and the Hierophant. This is advice. Wait and see. Okay, this feels like we're not going to really get all of the answers.
No, this is a big...
Wow.
Big question, big answer.
Yeah, this is huge. Okay, it's like the universe doesn't want to entirely tell us.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're kind of getting here is that it got really hard for our past, like humans from the past. Ancestors, right. That's a good word, ancestors. It got really hard for the ancestors of Earth. There might have been a whole other group that almost went extinct.
Okay.
Because of a ruling power here. And then they brought infants or young ones from other places.
Probably with stronger genetics with this Page of Pentacles here.
Wow.
Probably to get through our atmosphere, maybe this food, maybe a lifestyle.
Yeah, interesting.
Who knows what was happening here?
Yeah, something was really hard on us. So the original people, so there was groups or a group in particular that ended up almost entirely being wiped out.
Right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Then they brought so I think we were brought here. This is looking like we were brought here and we weren't created in labs.
No, definitely not created in a lab.
None of these cards. We'd have the Magician. We'd have some manipulation cards like the Seven of Swords or a bunch of sword cards, because that's now you're intellectualizing and then creating it into being. No, these are natural being cards. I think we were actually brought here, and even a whole new species was brought once the human race was almost wiped out at some point.
Right. To kind of bump it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Trials and tribulations. Something big happened.
Yeah.
I bet they don't talk about this. This is something that's definitely been lost. Mm-hmm. The Hangman on the Hierophant there's lots of information that's definitely in hiding still.
I'm getting it would have been in a time frame around the age of, so ages go backwards to the regular astrology.
Yeah.
And we're just entering into the age of Aquarius, but I'm getting the age of Aries. So the age of...
That would have been the beginning of time.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
I love it.
Yeah, so they almost wiped out humanity here, and then they brought new ones.
Right?
They brought new people to seed the earth, and we grew up into what is now. But there's a lot of information that the universe says we're not ready to know.
Yeah.
That'll be revealed, because the advice is wait. And this will all come into perspective. I think we have to eliminate I think there's still some baddies here. Well, we know there is. Well,
Come on.
yeah, there's some
There's
baddies.
also bad.
And I think we got to get these guys like officially handled before we can really know.
Evolve into our true selves.
Yeah, the truth of our origin. I don't think it's time quite to know.
Cool. I kind of have a little question.
Okay.
It's on the topic, but I need it answered right now.
Okay.
Did a bunch of, let's say, off-world cultures come to Earth to save their genetics?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Instead of being brought here, did a bunch of our genetics come to Earth to like save our planetary genetics?
Running from other conflicts?
Yeah.
Okay. That's another way we could have read that.
Right?
Actually. Yeah, good point.
Because I have to double check.
This could have been a safety place.
Right?
Is that true? Okay. Let's have a look. Because it definitely looks like some came.
Right?
In a hardship period in history.
Right?
Where they were getting, the you know what kicked out of them. Okay, let's see did Ashley get that right? Oh my
since
goodness.
Since we're going back to the beginning of time.
Oh my goodness. It was a very healing place.
Back in the day?
Yeah, my goodness. Okay, I think Ashley's got a point here.
I think we're going somewhere.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think it was entirely just that. I think there might have been a combination of things happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Over time.
Especially with the 5 there.
Right? But in a conflict, there was vulnerability in some of the, because the star can be really vulnerable in some of the, I guess, off-world in like communities or whatever.
Right? Parts of the universe?
Yeah, parts of the universe. And they came here seeking peace and actually found it for quite a while. So this could have been before the, what we call the dark cult and the deep state really got into gear and really took over entirely.
Right.
Like we know they've been working at it for thousands of years, but they hadn't really got a foothold here.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of good years here.
Right?
For humanity to build themselves into the kind of humans we are today.
Wow. Okay.
That is interesting. And yeah, it was peaceful for a time for them.
Right?
That's
they found peace here. Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So now let's ask. So the story of we had a creator.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does the universe want to tell us about? So we were created. So even these off-world groups who would have come here and are now human because they've made Earth their home. Okay, so that means we're all mixed.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels to me like no humans actually originated here. So isn't that interesting?
Right, we all kind of came here or were brought here?
Let's make sure that's true.
Okay.
Are all humans from somewhere else? Or did some of them originate here on the Earth?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see that.
Right?
Okay.
Like we got to know. For a long time, it was just plants and animals.
Ecosystems. And then we came in and destroyed it.
No, I don't think we are. I think
she's taking care of herself.
Yeah, she will. And if it gets too bad, she'll just make a big earthquake or something and get rid of us. Wow. Okay, this is wild, you guys.
Yeah.
I think we either came here on our own accord or some certain species were brought here.
Right?
Certain off-worlders were brought here and others came here on their own. Intermixed. Some of them didn't make it looks like.
Yeah.
So some couldn't make it. That could even be some of the ones they painted on those walls. That could have been
different pictures in the temples in Egypt, right? Like they talk about the giants.
That's right. Some of them just didn't make it. It was too hard or maybe they were persecuted here in particular, targeted.
Yeah.
Right. And so they just didn't have the wherewithal, but then others of us thrived. So, wow, we look like we're all off-worlders.
Right. We all just came to Earth.
And for a long time in the past, it looks like, what was that word you used?
It was just a biodiversity.
Yeah.
Just plants and animals.
Right. So that's what was here for a really, really long time.
Right.
And then people started finding their way here. And people, I mean, off-worlders. And
Us?
now we call ourselves, because, once you're like, it's like, I moved to Calgary, 40 years ago. So that equals I'm a Calgarian, I'm a Calgarian after 15 years. Do you know what I mean? I think it's that kind of thinking here, but all of us came from somewhere else, which is absolutely fascinating.
That's pretty cool.
And then when you think about the star seeds and you think about all those terms people use, and the fact that when we open up, certain people here can communicate with off-worlders. Right. And there's all of those movies that are probably signaling something. Maybe some other people know this already. They just didn't tell us this. You know what I mean? They're signaling that there's these off-worlders coming back for people, like that theme in the movie where they come back for someone they left behind here.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
So it's like, even E.T. I mean,
E.T. and what was that?
There was that one
Cocoon.
Cocoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many signals that we could be onto something.
Right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And no wonder when we work at it, we can easily connect when we open our hearts and minds to it. And I think that'll get easier and easier.
Oh, for sure. Now that we're more conscious, we're all slowly getting more conscious about it.
Waking up to this. Mm-hmm. Wow, that puts a real interesting slant on what I think should be our last question here. Yeah. What does the universe want to say about the idea of a creator?
Yeah.
So before we were here on Earth, according to what we're getting here, we were somewhere else in the galaxy. So we're all from these different parts of the galaxy, it looks like.
Different planets, maybe other galaxies.
Right. And so is there a common creator that created all of those beings? Or is the idea of creator really misunderstood?
Yeah.
Right. We won't be able to really figure it all out on a deep dive here, but let's just touch on that and see if we can glean anything from what the cards say there. Because that's a really big question. So I'm not trying to offend or step on any toes, or we're just looking at what the cards want to say about that. But because this is all so new to everybody, this could get a little out there, right?
Creator
let's
energy.
have a look.
Yeah, let's just take a look.
The age of Aquarius is for opening our minds and hearts.
This is true.
Okay.
I love it. I love the universe.
Cards are so funny. Okay, it's saying, we're not telling you that, and you're not ready to know.
Nope.
There's no's everywhere here. It's like, no, we're waiting. It's a long time. Mm-hmm. We have to wait a little longer before we can know that's going to be kept a secret, because these guys have to be out of the picture.
Yeah, it's that general narrative, that sadness, that fear, the government, the oppression, everything we're used to is not what we should be used to, and breaking that cycle is definitely what it looks like we have to do to find the answers. Yeah, the answers will come once we clean and rid the world of that bunch. And I know we're close. We're not quite there yet, but we're close. So it's saying that'll be a hidden secret, and it'll be worth the wait. Thank you so much for watching our video, and do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already.